I think you will remember that in the month of January, we were focusing on how we are to encourage one another. And I gave you a practical assignment for how you would go about doing that. And then during the month of February, last week, our focus was on bearing one another's burdens. And I also gave you homework assignment for how you could go about doing that as well. Well, this morning, I think our guests who are from the Jersey Shore Dream Center are about as good at helping to bear the burdens of others as any organization or mission in our community that I know. And so we are so excited and thrilled to have actually three very special guests with us. The first I will introduce to you, and then the next two will come after that. But I want to introduce to you, as we're getting started, Diamond Fradell. She is the co-pastor at Shore Christian Church, and she has been on the board of directors for the Dream Center since its inception. She has a very unique and special story that she's going to be sharing with us this morning, and we are just so grateful and thankful to have her. So without any further ado, I want to hand it over to you, Diamond. Bless you. Thank you. We're glad that you could be here with us. I think you will need to unmute.
Thank you so much, Pastor Vincent. Thank you to all of you. We are so incredibly blessed this morning to be here, and I'm loving how casual this is, to be honest with you. It's always a little bit, nerve-wracking coming and speaking, but just being able to sit and share my story with you this morning, share why we started the Dream Center. But again, I just want to honor your pastor and honor all of you for giving up your Sunday morning and allowing us to come and share our hearts and our ministry for the Jersey Shore Dream Center. So like Pastor Vincent said, I co-pastor a church called Shore Christian Church. Our church is in Asbury Park. And one of the things I loved about coming to your website is I noticed how diverse your church is. And I absolutely love that. Our church is also very diverse. And I believe that is God's vision for the church. All walks of life, all colors, and I just felt like an instant connection with your church just seeing that on your website. So pray for my husband, because he had to take our three kids to church by himself and preach a couple sermons this morning. So I know that God will give him all the grace for that. So I'm excited to share why we started the Dream Center. In order for me to do that with you this morning, I would like to share my testimony with you. So I grew up in Bakersfield, California, and I grew up in a very broken home. I like to say that the first 18 years of my life was kind of like living in hell. That's how it felt for me. It was a very broken home. My parents were heavy into drug use. And when I was a teenager, my mom went to prison for 5 years, and I was raised by my grandma. At 15, my oldest brother, he introduced me to crystal meth. And because of my circumstances, because of the rejection I felt from my parents, because of what I went through as a child, I just went all in with the drugs. By 16, I had dropped out of high school. And by 17, I was a runaway. Then I found myself living with my father. And then I was actually abusing drugs on a daily basis with my father. So to say that I was hopeless is an understatement. My mother was in prison at this time. And then my grandma, who raised me, the only real love that I ever knew, died from cancer. So my brother, who actually introduced me to crystal meth, had me read the Bible. He came to me and he's like, I'm worried about you, and you're suicidal, you're not happy. He's like, you need to read the Bible. And thank God my grandma always poured Jesus into us. We went to church when we can, and I always watched her watching Christian television. So in the middle of my sin, in the middle of my addiction, I opened up the Word of God, and the Bible started to become alive to me. And I felt the Lord's presence. And I came across this one passage about the woman who was bleeding internally for 12 years, and no doctor could heal her. No one could heal her. But she thought to herself, if I could just touch the edge of Jesus's cloak, maybe my bleeding would stop. And that's Luke 8:44. And there I was, 17, and I'm envisioning myself. I'm saying, Lord, I need a touch from you. I want my life to change. I don't want to live like this. I don't want to go to prison like my parents went to prison. I was a high school dropout, and I just found myself in desperate need of Jesus. And I was watching TBN. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, Trinity Broadcasting Network. And this place called the Los Angeles Dream Center had a show every Friday night. And so watching Christian television with my grandma all the time, I was looking for hope, and I turned on the Christian television. And there's this show, the Los Angeles Dream Center. And this young girl, she's sharing her story about how her parents had both died of cancer, and she found herself going to the Dream Center, and she was living this happy life. And I resonated so much with her, and I really felt deep down in my spirit, the Lord was telling me this is the place that he wanted that I was going to go. And the whole point of the show was to raise money. So I just wrote down the offering number. And I called my aunt, who is my best friend today. And she always said, Diamond, when you're ready to get your life right, I will help you. So I called her and I said, I saw this place called the Los Angeles Dream Center, and I think that the Lord is telling me to go there. And she said, I know exactly what that place is. And long story short, she got me to the LA Dream Center. And I went there so rejected, so broken, hurting, felt like an orphan. And God did such an incredible work in my life through that place. Full restoration, learning what it means to really have a father, which came from God. And so I lived there for a couple years. I completed 2 very intense programs. They were not easy, but they were so worth it. And then in the summer of 2006, my husband was a ball player, and he went to school in Baltimore, Maryland. And that summer he hurt his shoulder and he couldn't play ball. And his father was a pastor here. He's a pastor's kid. He grew up in church his whole life, and they pastored, which is our church now, Shore Christian Church. And his father said, you're going to go to the LA Dream Center this summer since you can't play ball. So he came to the Dream Center, and he was saved. He grew up in church, but in college he was living his life, and he really had an encounter with God at the Dream Center during those couple weeks. And that's how we met. So we met at the Dream Center in 2006. We fell in love at the Dream Center, and then we got married in 2008. We got heavy into ministry at his parents' church, and we started actually carpooling lots of kids from Asbury Park to the youth group. And as we were going to the projects and picking up these kids, our hearts just really started to break for what we saw. We saw many needs, and it was just very hard hearing the stories of the kids with, being tempted with gangs and not wanting to go home because their parents were battling addictions. And so my husband and I just talked, and we said, Asbury Park needs a dream center. We need a dream center. So in 2012, we really didn't have any money, and we saved up enough money to incorporate the name, the Jersey Shore Dream Center, LLC. And then that was September of 2012. And then in October of 2012, Sandy hit. And like many of all of us, a lot of people lost their homes. A lot of people, you lost power, and we lost power at our home. And so we went and stayed with a friend who had a nice big house and a generator. And at that time we had my first son. He was only like 2, and then I was pregnant with my daughter. So we're comfortable at this house, and my husband looks at me and he says, I can't sit here. I have to do something. And I said, well, what are you going to do? He's like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I feel like I need to do something. I need to help. Now, at this time, we didn't have a building. All we had was the name Jersey Shore Dream Center. So my husband goes back to our empty house where it's all cold and no electricity, and he calls the Red Cross, and he gets the name Jersey Shore Dream Center on their distribution list. And the next thing we saw was a complete miracle. He used our home address as the distribution drop-off, and we had cars and tractor trailers coming from all over the country bringing supplies to our home. Diapers, clothes, you name it, they brought it. And at this time, we didn't have a physical location to even distribute these things. So what we did is we went out. So we went to all the motels, all the people who, were relocated because they lost their homes. So we went to the motels and the hotels, and that's where we would distribute the stuff. Or we'd go to parks and we just set up right there in the park. And then people would just walk and come all over and get the stuff. So that was really the first miracle that we saw God do, with just stepping out in faith, not even really having the resources, but just being willing to say yes to God. And we saw him move in such a mighty way. And so the last 10 years, this year we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary. The last 10 years, we have seen God move above and beyond anything we could have imagined. And we've been able to reach tens of thousands of people in this area and the Jersey Shore. And we can't do it without you guys. We can't do it without people who come alongside, who have a heart for injustice, and who want to make a difference in people's lives. And the Dream Center's motto is this: find a need and fill it, find a hurt and heal it. And you can't help everybody, but you can help somebody. And that's what we do at the Jersey Shore. It's one person at a time making a difference in their lives. So again, we're just so thankful for your hearts and partnering alongside us. And without you and your hearts, we wouldn't even be able to do what we're doing. And you're playing such a big part in that. So with that, we are actually going to play a video. We want to show you the work that the Dream Center's been doing the last year. And then Liz Seaman and Kyle DeTomber, two of our members of our Dream team, they're going to share with you how you can get connected and also the different ministries that we have going on right now. So if we can roll that video.
You've done some really lovely things for our organization and the Dream Center here today. One of the really important things to know about why we choose the programming that we have specifically at the Dream Center is that we're out there looking for unmet needs. You saw in the video, one of our slogans that we like to use is find a need and fill it. And there are some wonderful nonprofits in the Jersey Shore area that do all kinds of different outreaches that help other people. So what we tend to do is look for where are the areas where needs aren't being met and how can we fill those gaps to be able to help bring resources to people that aren't getting them otherwise. I'm going to have Kyle tell us a little bit about how he came to the Dream Center.
Yeah, so actually how I found about the Dream Center, it's kind of a crazy story. So about 10 years ago, the Dream Center was putting on a fundraiser in Asbury, and the movie was It's a Wonderful Life. And my mom just so happens to love that movie, and she was in the area at the time, and she went over to see the movie and wound up meeting Pastor Isaac and Diamond and fell in love with what they do and what the Dream Center is. So she brought that back home. We were living up north at the time. And she was like, oh, I found this great place. You guys are going to love it, this and that. So she used the excuse that we moved down to the Jersey Shore for work, but it was honestly for the Dream Center. And I've been doing it for the better part of 10 years, serving faithfully. And the Dream Center, to me, it honestly, I can say, like, it saved my life, because serving, like, I never really understood what that meant until I was out there serving people, and not just myself. And what honestly changed that for me was, I'll never forget it. We were out in Asbury at a place called Bradley Sales, and some lady came up to me with her daughter. I just handed her like a piece of food or something, and she gave me the most genuine smile I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, this lady, like, this, she needed this, like, and that smile like resonates in my mind every day I go out and I serve people. So that's why I serve faithfully. And yeah, I've been doing it for the better part of 10 years. And the Dream Center, to me, it honestly means everything.
I came to the Dream Center shortly after the pandemic started, actually through my husband. You saw his face in the video. He's a residential real estate broker. I'm normally very busy. And when everything shut down, he wasn't able to do anything. And he connected with Kyle and started going out on the food truck. And he went out 3-4 times a week faithfully for the first couple of months. And they hit a point where they needed somebody to help run social media. That's my background, is in marketing and graphic design. And I had left my job shortly before the pandemic started. And we were in a very scary place. It's very interesting because that experience really showed me how almost anyone, regardless of how secure you think you are, can just be a couple steps away from being in the same position that many of the people we serve are. And that for me, I mean, we have a 10-year-old daughter and our income stream was completely cut off. I had left my job and he wasn't bringing any money in. And they needed somebody for a small little stipend to help with social media. I thought, well, this is a way I can at least help pay a bill or two. And I started doing that. And then I started saying, well, I'm going to go to the staff meetings to learn about what's going on, and started getting involved. And I fell in love with the Dream Center. I started going out and volunteering, getting involved with different outreaches, and just getting more and more involved until eventually I came on as their director of marketing. And now I'm working there 4 days a week and serving. And we really just are so grateful to be there.
Yeah.
So I was talking a little bit about the programs we have and why we do that, why we prioritize some of the local missions and looking for those unmet needs. Really for us, one of the big standing points is that we want to be able to come showing a mission of hope. You saw our statement also in the video that's about giving hope to the hopeless. That for us, that mission of having Jesus Christ in our hearts and being able to show that love and kindness in every person we serve is so important. And that for us, I think, is really what makes it different than anything else. It's not just handing somebody a meal. It's also building relationships. It's also giving them that hope that they haven't had previously and being able to see their lives transform over the course of a relationship that we've built with them. Kyle, tell us a little about our mobile food truck program.
Yeah, so the Monmouth County area, when I first I guess moved down to it, realized that the homelessness and just kind of the food need was pretty bad, and especially addiction. So we saw that need when it came to food, especially, and a bunch of hotels, rooming houses, and stuff in the areas you wouldn't know unless you're looking for it. And so we decided to start a mobile food pantry and go out to these different locations and distribute food. And like Liz said, it goes beyond just a meal. When people need food, it's the best icebreaker because it brings them up to the truck, it brings them up to us, and we get to interact with them and give them that food. And it's building those relationships every week. So it's being able to pray with them. It's meeting their needs in different ways that maybe food just isn't able to do that. But yeah, most importantly, like I said, it's those relationships we create with people. It's the people in the video that you just saw, the people that we see every week, people that we pray with every week. And honestly, I can say that we've impacted their lives and we heard the words that they said. And that's because, we saw a need and we were able to fill it. And we continue to keep doing that every week. I actually wanted to share some stats actually from what we were actually able to do. So since 2019, we've increased 63% in our production and what we do, mainly because of the pandemic, obviously. And we serve 300 people a week. We do about 5 tons of food monthly and about 3,900 bags of groceries and over 2,500 hot meals served at our community events. So these numbers are a miracle, and it's just going to keep going up from there.
Yeah, the other programs that we have, one of them that's very special to us that you heard Lucy talking about is our baby pantry. A lot of people don't know because there's obviously programs like SNAP and WIC that are going to help subsidize for families that are in need, but none of those programs cover diapers. Anyone who's ever had a child knows that diapers are expensive. And one of the things is that if you're bringing a child to daycare, they require you to supply a week's worth of diapers to be able to enroll your child there. So that's one of those things that's a part of the poverty cycle, where if there's a single mother who's working and she is on a very tight budget and doesn't have enough of the disposable diapers, she's unable to bring her child to daycare, which means she's unable to go back to work, which means that cycle continues. So we help to supplement by providing diapers. We actually recently just doubled the amount we were giving away each month to make sure that people weren't trying to conserve them, to make sure that people were being able to use them responsibly and comfortably. And that was a miracle. We're really grateful for some of the donations. I know that your church did a diaper drive for us, which meant so much. And it came right after we had made that decision to double our diapers. So it was just an incredible blessing from God to see some of those things come through right when we decided that we needed to do something different. Those diapers really just help families to be able to move in a positive direction. It brings them hope. And there's also a place where they can get clothing, they can get baby food, they can get other supplies they need. We got gently used baby supplies like cribs and high chairs. So sometimes expecting mothers come in and help us as well. And they come in monthly. So we're able to build those relationships. We have Bible studies with them. We pray with them. We ask for prayer requests every time they're in. We follow up. We help connect them with different resources. So it ends up becoming not only just a very happy place to be, but a very life-changing place to be. The other program that we have that started actually this year is our Hope Fits Women's Clothing Boutique. This is a program that one of our volunteers had the heart to start because there are, again, a lot of places that give out clothing. And one thing that we heard consistently is that it's kind of a sad experience. Everyone likes to shop, right? You like to go, you like to get something new, you like to feel special. So when you're given a garbage bag or a bin of old, dirty clothing to sort through and try to find things that might be in your size or might look nice, it can be a really depressing experience. And we wanted to really be able to instill value, instill hope, show people that they're worth more than how they feel. And it's been a really nice gateway into introducing them to Christ and introducing them to a different kind of a lifestyle. So we've been collecting clothing donations, but it's set up like a boutique. It's really a very beautiful space. There are things on the wall. You can go and shop and try things on, and clothing in racks by size and different types of things. And we try to have really beautiful clothing in there. There's accessories, and you can come in and you can shop with one of our volunteers who can help you pick out an outfit or can help you find clothing for the season. And you leave it with a really nice bag, and it's a special experience. But then one of the other programs that we're starting up with that we actually just started is a Saturday delivery program. So if anyone's ever seen a Stitch Fix box or any of the clothing delivery services, they'll go out on a Saturday to some of the motels that we already are serving where we have relationships and set up a table and talk to the different women and write down things like, what are their clothing sizes? What kind of clothes do they like? What's their style? What kind of things do they need? What's their complexion like? And then they'll go back and they'll pack up a beautiful box with clothing, shoes, a handbag, cosmetics, whatever they need, put a big personalized note in there, and then it gets delivered the next week. So that's a little bit about some of our programs. Now we're going to tell you a little bit more about how you can get involved if you're interested in volunteering.
Yes, so actually, in addition to our food truck, we go on Thursdays and Fridays. We do about 7 stops per day. And we include one stop, which is Soldier On that we do. So we about 15 stops, and we're looking to expand into a Wednesday, into a third day. We're looking about 6 to 8 stops on that day. And I guess just a week-to-week basis for what I do. So whether Tuesday or Wednesday throughout the week, I go to the food bank and I pick up food and I bring it back to our facility. And I kind of organize it and prep it for the weeks to come. And I have a team that goes Thursday and Friday morning to Whole Foods, pick some foods there, and also Dean's Market. So those are a couple of places that we get food from. And we want to extend that to you guys. We're looking for volunteers for Wednesday to be able to go to those motels and hand out that food. We're also looking for people for on Friday, if anyone's available to volunteer on Fridays. We also need volunteers for that. And yeah, I mean, any of the programs that Liz mentioned as well, we also need help in those areas. And I can say too, just to add to what Liz said about with the Hope Fits, I'm able to experience the love that these people receive from these clothes. I mean, I wish that everyone could be able to do that. When I show up to those places, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got this bag from you guys. I'm like, I didn't give you that personally, but thank you for sharing your feelings. And they cry to me and they give me hugs and things like that.
It's
So
really cool.
It's really amazing. If I can only just be able to show you through my eyes what these people feel when they just see us personally, it's honestly the best feeling, and I'm so glad that I'm able to experience that on a weekly basis. But yeah, these are some of the areas that we are looking for help and for volunteers. So if you guys are able to do that, please, we'd love to have you.
Yeah. In the other areas, the baby pantry is open Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays during the day. So if anyone does have weekly time and would like to come in and volunteer with any of those programs, I think we could probably use volunteers on all of those days. Tuesdays and Wednesdays are from 11 to 1, and then Thursdays are from 1 to 4. And then we also on Saturday is when we have the Hope Fits clothing donation box. So if you're somebody who works who would like to go out occasionally, they don't go out every week. And with all of these programs, you don't need to commit weekly if that's not something that works for your schedule. We appreciate anyone who's able to come out anytime. So if you're interested, email us for some more information. We'll make sure that you get that contact information through our website, jerseyshoredreamcenter.org, and just ask for some more information and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have. All of our programs operate solely on donations. So whether that's financial donations or just volunteering your time, that's certainly a huge donation that we request. So we just want to say that we really appreciate everything that's given, big or small, in whatever way that you're comfortable with. And now I think if we're good on time, we can open up for a couple of questions. All right. Diamond, you can unmute if you want. It's okay if nobody has anything, but if anybody does have any questions, please feel free.
Yeah, whatever you have. I forgot to mention with the mobile food truck the times we do. So we actually meet at 10 a.m. at our facility, and we go to about 3 in the afternoon. And that's that would be every day, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday when we had the third day.